Good afternoon. As Chairman of the Senate Commerce Subcommittee on Manufacturing, Trade, and Consumer Protection, I welcome you all here today to a hearing entitled Protecting Americans from COVID-19 Scams. The nation continues to fight the unprecedented public health crisis brought on by COVID-19 pandemic. In addition to the serious threat this pandemic poses to the health of Americans, the economic impact of the shuttered Main Street businesses, resulting from responsible public health protocols, have been felt in every corner of the country. It has become clear that preventive practices, policies, and dedicated resources, including expanding testing capabilities and the availability of personal protection equipment, are absolute necessities to a responsible path forward to reopening the economy and extinguishing this health crisis. However, during this time of national emergency and coordinated recovery, there are fraudsters and scam artists that seek to take advantage of consumers, especially the nation's most vulnerable communities like that of our nation's seniors. In fact, the FTC's Consumer Sentinel Network reports that consumers across the U.S. have reported over 136,000 different cases of COVID-related scams, totaling approximately $90 million in total fraud losses from January 1 to July 20, 2020. More specifically, at home in Kansas, over this same period of time, consumers report over 500 related cases totaling over $800,000 in financial losses. Everyone should also bear in mind that these are only the reported cases, and that it is fair to assume that there are a number of harmful consumer scams that have not been reported to date. The variety of these increasingly complex and innovative scams remains exceedingly difficult for any consumer to wrap their head around, much less defend themselves against. Whether it be unsubstantiated health benefits advertised for certain products, illegal robocalls pitching low-priced health insurance, fraudulent donation solicitations, or even imposters claiming to be from federal agencies collecting mandatory payments, raising awareness to these harmful practices is critical to educating consumers and protecting themselves. As such, the subcommittee has much to learn from law enforcement agencies, industry, and consumer protection experts in their efforts to not only identify and address these harms, but also what exactly they are doing to prevent these harms from occurring in the first place. Additionally, if there is a role for Congress to play in supporting these efforts, those suggestions we will need today and in the future. More specifically, I look forward to hearing from the Federal Trade Commission on how their current U.S. Safe Web authorities are utilized in addressing COVID-related scams stemming from abroad, and how enactment of the U.S. Safe Web Extension Act, which I introduced with the ranking member, Senator Blumenthal, is critical for continuing these foreign law enforcement coordination efforts. Additionally, I would be interested to hear from the witnesses about any specific efforts directed to particularly vulnerable groups of Americans like our seniors. My colleague, Senator Klobuchar, joined me in introducing Protecting Seniors from Emergency Scam Act, which directs the FTC to report to Congress on scams targeting seniors during this pandemic, makes recommendations on how to prevent future scams during emergencies, and appropriately to distribute such information to seniors and their caregivers. Finally, the subcommittee looks forward to hearing more about current enforcement efforts to detect, identify, and prosecute criminal organizations engaged in these illegal activities. If there are ways Congress can assist to strengthen the current framework of government task forces, joint initiatives with state and local agencies, and partnerships with the private sector to address the crimes, this subcommittee would again welcome the suggestions. Today's witness panel provides a variety of different perspectives on the same important issue. Joining the subcommittee is the Honorable Derek Schmidt, the Attorney General of the state of Kansas, Mr. Andrew Smith, Director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, Mr. Stu Showerman, Founder and CEO of Know Before, Inc., and Ms. Laura McCleary, Policy Director for the Center of Science in the Public Interest. While the Food and Drug Administration was not able to join us today, the agency has been active in protecting consumers throughout this pandemic and provided written testimony for the subcommittee's consideration and agreed to respond to questions for the record from the committee members as well. Finally, U.S. Telecom provided a letter for the record describing the collaborative efforts of companies in the Industry Traceback Group to actively trace and identify sources of illegal robocalls that have only increased in frequency during the pandemic. I ask that this letter be submitted for the record. Without objection, it is. With that, I now turn to the ranking member, Senator Blumenthal, for his opening statement.